We're moving on to new business now, summer school.
So one of the reasons this is on the agenda is just to update the board that, the summer school packet is available online. Students are reviewing the courses, and Pam and I just want to clarify that we're operating under the expectation as of last year that the goal should be to break even. So that's the only reason why the historical data is on there. This is the same data the board saw in September. Based on Ms. Haruska's question tonight of trying to make additional revenue to support other things, the reality of this is that we had several courses that didn't even have enough students enroll at the current course fee to run the course to break even. So the point to where we would get to where we're breaking even and making enough revenue to support something during the school year, one or two things would have to happen. Our courses would have to become as expensive as college credit hours, or changing the culture where kids sign up for more stuff during the summer.
Could we start, and I don't mean this summer, but as we move forward and start to look at curriculum, summers have just kind of been sports camp and makeup credits, but if we start to offer a robust, and it's been thought about, a robust curriculum in the summer, or opportunities to take that art class that you never had a chance to take, the photography class, and families are willing to pay for those classes, and it's better to take it in the high school rather than say that's going to be my major. Or Kevin, when you and I were touring that school looking at the one-to-one initiative, they were offering the students the opportunity to become certified in the Microsoft applications.
Right.
If we had these summer school courses where you can be certified in applications, that would be incredible for their job, for applications to jobs.
Well, I think we do offer a lot of courses. I mean, if you look at the courses that are in the brochure and that are online, we offer a lot of courses. It's the fact that the interest level has not been there. And then the second thing is finding our staff to teach it. That was one of the issues with the Fine Arts Survey, is here's a course that we require for graduation, and it's become a part of the tradition of this high school, yet we couldn't find 4 of our own teachers to teach it in the summer. And then on top of that, then we were going to jam it into 11 days. When during the school year it's taken 18 weeks, or 12 days in the summer. So we just have to be. What you're talking about is a pretty significant shift in the culture.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that we can continue to monitor and see how many kids sign up. I think in order to, it's going to work against what this board has directed us to do in the past. If you want to increase students taking summer school courses, you probably got to lower the fee or make them cheaper or free. And then that becomes courses that right now at this time we can't cover. One thing that I've talked about with Pam that we should be looking at as we continue to work towards our goals, as we updated the board, is that as more kids, as Pam reports out in October, let's say we have more kids failing freshman English or freshman algebra, one thing this board should continue doing, and that I will be approaching this board for, and maybe as early as May, but helping us meet our goal, is we should be looking at waiving those fees or lowering those fees and trying to get more of those freshmen as an intervention into summer school. If we're going to push graduation and ACT, which are great goals, and we have kids failing freshman English and freshman math, we should make it a point that a freshman English and freshman math is offered every summer, regardless of the number of kids we have set up.
That's a good point.
But correct me if I'm wrong, when I looked at the packet, the summer school credit, non-credit courses, we had health, credit recovery, band, camp college, driver's ed, and then we had all the sports camps. I don't see, and when I look here, you see the honors geometry, some English, but I don't see, and then more band. These all look like the courses you need to fill a gap. I don't see like become certified for 3 weeks in Microsoft Excel. I don't see CAD programming. I don't see learn C++.
Remedial.
Or these all seem like remedial.
Well, what I'm saying though is, Laura, is that's something that we've never offered here. So you won't see that in that brochure because we don't offer like that Microsoft Apps class. So until we start shifting thinking even during the school year, we won't even be able to start thinking about it for the summer. You bring up a valid point. What I'm saying is, we some of those things you're talking about, we haven't even done during the school year. So to get it to say, well, we're gonna offer it in the summer, just to throw them out on the brochure if we haven't.
Well, even if we did it tentatively, if we offered, say, we started with a couple and said we can't run them unless we hit a certain number so that it breaks even.
But here's my point about those. To me, that's a nice 2 class, but how is it gonna give me credit? How's it gonna get Johnny and them credit to help graduate?
I think she's saying that
You know what I mean?
it won't necessarily be to help graduate, it'll be exploratory or additional
Enrichment.
learning, enrichment. But I would say if that's something the board would want us to do, we gotta probably look at about implementing that and developing that and advertising that throughout next school year and try to do that next summer.
Well, that's what I mean. I don't mean this summer at all.
Right.
I mean, looking towards, if our goal is 100%, then we have to do more.
Right.
And so it, like any new
Whoa,
program.
whoa, that's not necessarily logical. You need to like specify what you mean by that. Goal is 100% of what? Graduation.
Graduation.
Well, then what Microsoft, whatever, have to do with that?
Well, our goal is that our 100% of our students would graduate college and career ready, that they would meet state expectations.
Okay, so Microsoft, whatever,
So getting a course,
photography, whatever.
or writing, or study skills, or test-taking skills. These are maybe even half classes, but a student who goes through that test-taking skill may do better the following year. Or a student who takes a programming class may meet state.
Yeah, well, we've got that during the
requirements.
regular school year, though.
Right.
They may not be able to fit all that in during the
We can start looking at this, Pam can start looking at this at the building department chairs next year to see if there's more that we could be offering.
See if you're gonna
The
get
biggest thing I
population
need to know
participation.
from the board right now is it business as usual to where we should be trying to break even with summer school courses?
Yeah.
I think.
I'd like to advise us the other way. What based on, if one is to answer a question on credit recovery, is that those credit recovery that you listed on that one page, Pam, like English and
Right.
just out of curiosity, there was a minimum number of students required in all of them, and all of them were a lot more than 11. So did we decide to run one anyway for some reason?
The one that you see that we reported out on that chart in the fall, those were seniors that didn't have enough credits to
Okay.
graduate in May.
Okay.
And so we continued working with them, and some of them were able to make it by the end of June and could count on the cohort with their group. Those were the 11 that, and a few of them are back as fifth-year seniors.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
So I guess what I would always ask is, what do you recommend?
The credit recovery, and then based on the number of freshman failures in English and math, I would recommend that regardless of the number, we're able to provide that course, even if I have to provide some waivers for kids that can't afford it.
Well, you always got to do that if you provide it anyway,
But there might still be some borderline kids that aren't maybe free and reduced lunch but can't afford $200.
Well,
The
the-
problem with the math and the English is that current practice at RB is that you could fail freshman English and retake it at the same time you're taking sophomore English.
That's got to be hard to do.
Same thing with math. You could fail Algebra 1 and be taking it simultaneously with geometry.
But the credit recovery only allows you to recover one semester, right?
It
So if
does.
you fail 2 semesters, we don't even offer a waive.
right, we are piloting another credit recovery option that's an online
Okay.
that matches our curriculum. It's called Apex. So we're looking at other ways, but we need to, that's one of the things that Kristen wanted to rectify when she came in here, is that we can't move kids ahead in their curriculum if we've scoped and sequenced properly until they've gotten those skills that they've missed.
Right.
So we need to correct some of that, and we have to give them the tools. One tool is summer school to pick up a half a credit, and another might be working on an online program through a study hall or after school with our academic support person, because we have an academic support person who's after school. We've
Okay.
staggered hours, so we're trying to be creative in allowing other supports for students, so they can get some one-to-one assistance and then go home and use that program on their own. So, but we've got to fill these gaps. We just can't, move them forward. But what Kevin's asking for would be wonderful to get support on, which is, we don't have to reach that threshold of 18 kids in order to be able to help these kids who are struggling, or else we will not make our goal, one of our district goals.
Well, the second piece of it is the cost effective. I mean, are you also saying, Kevin, should we consider not worrying about breaking even for the credit recovery courses to make
I
sure
think-
more kids take it?
Yeah, you were asking what my recommendation would be.
Yeah.
My recommendation is that if it's a course where a kid's looking to get ahead, or it's some of these other driver's ed, the bridge, that stuff, we should be cost neutral.
Right.
Okay.
With some flexibility for the administration, if it's something to help with one of our district goals, then I have some flexibility to tweak that. And what I'm hoping is that if the number's up in one class, it will offset some of the other money we might have to waive.
Could you tell us one other thing, Pam, if you have any idea? Do you had 11 in the senior, did everybody who needed this course sign up for that even? I mean, would you expect if you made the freshman English and math, and I guess I would ask, are you really only want to do it for freshmen, you want to do it for sophomores and juniors too, but would you expect if it was not costly that the majority or the most of the kids would sign up and take it then?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Our problem in the past has been a timing issue, is that we've canceled the classes before the year is ended because we didn't have the enrollment count, before the
Okay.
kids have actually failed. So
Okay.
right now, I have the counts as of today that Tim's office provided for us. And so right now, obviously in English 9 and 10 and 11, I only have 3 students signed up, and in Algebra 9, only 3, and Biology 1. The counselors are calling kids down that already failed and getting them signed into summer school. However, some kids aren't going to make it second semester, and so we have to, by you giving us flexibility, we don't have to kill the class before we know how many kids actually need it, and we get those conversations with the parents concluded.
Okay.
Question, Pam or Kevin, is it, given the student grades, is it reasonable that you could probably predict or project how many students would need those classes?
Yeah, it's the matter of whether or not those kids want to take them.
Okay.
The other thing that we're looking at doing is identifying skill level and what they felt short on and not gaining the credit in that class, and taking an English and a math teacher, so that maybe a freshman and sophomores can be mixed into that class, and those kids are working on the specific projects they failed, or the skill sets they failed on, so that they can earn that credit back to address a couple different levels.
That's what I was going to ask, if you had 5 freshmen and 5 sophomores, could one teacher teach both or not? Okay.
Yeah, these are our teachers that are going to
Okay.
be teaching these classes.
So if I'm understanding the board correctly, break even, unless it's something related to credit recovery or a specific board goal.
Then try to, yeah, I agree.
Okay, just
All right, let's move on to the next one.
Mike had a question.
Mike?
Earlier, Laura suggested we get into the business of making a profit in summer school. Our mission is to provide free education to these kids. And we have a tough time doing that between August and May. And our fees have gone up with the financial situation we're on. People aren't happy that they have to fork over maybe $1,000 in fees just to enroll the student. I think it would not send a good signal at all if we were to say, we are going to offer some classes as a for-profit type school in the summer and take that money and put it elsewhere. I don't think people would go for that. I don't think that's something this board should put out as a philosophy. And I'm against that, because as we get through these financial times, if they want to take additional extra something, we should charge them a reasonable fee where they are getting their money's worth and they're not paying over and above what they're being asked to pay for, i.e. a built-in profit. So I would be against that concept for this summer, next summer. Maybe I would think about it if things improve going forward. But I do agree that we should maybe offer things that, you know, the Windows, becoming a Windows master of the various Microsoft products or Apple products or whatever. But again, we need to make sure that we're not offering something that's costing the taxpayers more money than the students who are getting it. Because summer school is, you know, an additional time. It's not the May through August or the August through May time that we are to offer the free education for these kids.
I have a question.
I want to
have a
clarify
question. Can-
something before you ask that question, though. Because when
Go
he
for it.
said, make a profit, it's a misconception that not-for-profits don't make profit. And I didn't mean make
Until that's the
profit.
IRS investigator.
No,
It's
as
against
long
the
as
law.
the money you make from your activities is reinvested into the programming you're offering. And so when I said make a profit, I certainly didn't mean that somebody's getting rich like a CEO. I meant if we offered like an orchestra course or something that students love. And so the break-even point was 20, but you could easily have 25. So the tuition for the extra 5, that's money you can use in an area that you desperately need or desperately offset something. It's that kind of profits that would increase our program. I'm sorry, didn't mean to cut you off, but I thought it was important to clarify what I meant by making a profit.
Okay, I want to,
Well made. Could I just ask one question, Pam? Do we have a joint operating agreement with other districts to cover some of the courses similar to what Laura's talking about in Richmond? My daughter's looking for computer programming. I don't think we could support it, but Triton could.
Triton does offer college enrichment classes for high school students, and we do, you know, share those with students. We've had traditionally
LT.
very low enrollment of our kids. They do have a programming class, they do have, you know,
It's gonna be a
STEM
junior college.
kinds of offerings. So they offer all kinds in the health field as well.
Well,
And then-
expanding it to
Yeah.
other secondary schools might be a good idea, too. I wouldn't want to go all the way to Triton for computer programming if she could go to LT or something.
and
Pay
take the
tuition?
course, Pay tuition.
Students,
Yeah.
students can pay out of district tuition.
But we don't
to
have
take
a
those
formal
courses.
agreement with them that
No.
would lessen the tuition to an in-district.
okay,
All right.
I'd like to
Thank
move
you.
on to our next one, amended calendar for
But
school.
before you
Hold on a
move on,
second.
I just want, Dan, many of our students did go to York for calculus. They paid for calculus in the summer.
Out of district.
Right, because they couldn't get it here, so our students are paying for courses they can't get.
I've never heard of a school district, there might be, that have done intergovernmental agreements with other school districts
Yeah,
to
it
swap
might be
summer
something to
courses.
to break some ground in it.
Well,
Okay.
but, see, that's a very efficient way to do it. I mean, having the parents pay the out-of-district tuition at York or
Yeah.
taking it online. The question is, where would we have a comparative advantage to offer these courses? We don't.
We don't.
And there's no way we're gonna undercut the price or the cost of another place. So, the way to solve this is just have all this information available
Yeah.
in our guidance counselor's office. You go to York, you can go to LT, you can go whatever. And if someone has an idea, we can offer it better, and we got a ton of kids from RB going to York or LT, then maybe that's something we could look at. But until that happens, it just doesn't make any sense.
Okay, can we now move on to our?
Summer
I'd
summer
like my
athletic
questions,
camps.
other questions answered
Okay.
about this,
Summer athletic camps,
on this one, Kevin.
right?
Not on summer athletic, on the
On-
summer school.
Okay.
Yep.
Why the TV workshop doesn't show a salary in there?
Because he's here in the summer.
Security
Okay.
folks.
Gary.
Is he here to teach the class or here to do something else?
He has time on the way we would cut his 11 months in order to keep building his program. So he takes an hour of that time he's here and does stuff in the summer with that summer class. He's not on the, remember, he's a hourly employee, not a teacher salary.
Okay. Anything else? Let's move to amended calendar for school year 2012-2013. Kevin?
Did we,
There was a question on summer athletic camps.
are we gonna talk about athletics or not?
Okay.
We skipping that?
I'm assuming that the board then is the same with the summer athletic camps, it's to break even. And I've instructed Art that in the future, his chart has to have the salary and supplies and facilities all broken out the same way as
Well,
the
since
summer school.
he gave it to us this way last year, and we asked him he had to redo it, can you just have him redo it again this year? So we could see it again?
Right, I asked him to forward that, I didn't get it yet.
And the other thing I asked on that is, again, I'm trying to figure out with the whole summer school. Laura asked a good question, although people didn't seem to could we use the facility? Is the school in charge of the sports in the summer, or are the coaches like independent agents here? Because I note that, we've had a swim camp every summer since my kids were little kids, and now it's gone away. So can you advise us on, who's deciding what we're doing with our programs in our school in the summer?
Pam, you want to respond?
Yeah, the swim program is here, but it's run by the Bullets.
We
in
had a
the summer.
program with the Otters for 40 years and ran a separate one with the school for high school students, which was a lot cheaper for the students than going with the Bullets.
Yeah.
So again, I'm trying to find out how do we decide, just using it as an example, and I couldn't tell you all the other ones because my kids have been involved in some, but not all. How are we deciding that we're no longer, how do we decide we're going to let a coach do this or we're not going to let a coach do it versus, the school making that offer to do it?
Well, the coaches that you see listed here are coaches that work with our kids during the year. So
Right.
they're, except for the, that's why Bullets aren't, you don't see it listed here. But, so the soccer coach is the soccer coach during the year. So if they want to really build a strong program, they run a summer program, they offer it, and they talk to the assistant principal of athletics, Art Ostro, and they talk to him about the program and what they want to offer. And some of these have been very long-running programs. So tennis, I think you had a question about that. That is both, he's working with both boys and girls, so it's being offered for both. The reason that the swimming's off here is it wasn't being run by a staff member in-house. How that decision was made, that was a long process of going with the Bullets, from the Otters, but how the high school piece, I'm not going to speak to something I don't know. I can find out for you how that evolved. I don't know how that conversation went. But, basically they run their camp and they structure it. And yeah, they would then get their own people to work for the camp, and they've got to, be approved by us, but they have to pay the facility fee, and then what they bring in, how popular the camp is, how much participation they have, as we discussed before, is how much they're going to make and be able to distribute, use for their own supplies, to give back to the program during the school year, and to pay their staff that they have to run the camp. I don't know if that answered your question or not.
Anything else on summer camps?
The swimming program that we offered when we were involved was run by the Otters. I collected all that money. I made all those high school kids sign up for ISI status, so we were covered for insurance. I chased them down at 6 o'clock every morning, 5 days a week, with Todd, trying to make sure that we didn't have a swimmer in that pool who wasn't insured. So if it's the Bullets now, it was perhaps offered in the offering that the school did in the printed format, but it was something that we ran.
You mean we as the Otters?
Tim and I as the Otters.
Well, and I was there with you guys,
And I think originally,
They're not running it.
not running.
years ago, the
Voluntary,
payment
that's
was
right.
coming through the school too, and that got changed. Maybe I'm
Yeah, it did.
straight.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so then that might have been why it was in but now that it's an entirely separate entity, the money doesn't come to the school or through the school, correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, so I think that's probably why it was pulled
And
from the
again, I don't want to
booklet.
necessarily pick on Mike's right, but then it changed, and now it's changing back. It was done by the Otters, then it was done by the school, the coach did it himself, that's why you show the 190. last summer, it was paid to the school, was collected by the school, and went to the coach. And now we're switching back, and I'm just using that as an example. How does the,
Might be a good question for.
the question
Yeah.
is it the school managing this, or is it just whatever coaches feel like doing, they do? And if that's the answer, that's.
I was gonna go with the latter, is that summer camps, we don't wanna get into the business of managing. Now, I would hope is that my athletic director is working with the head coaches, because I think your programs are only as good as
Yeah.
the younger kids that you're recruiting and skill developing, and, I did not say that, I should say, not recruiting. The skill development and having camps so that they're around. A lot of these camps have high school athletes working with the younger campers and
Sure.
exposure and stuff like that. So the process we set up last year was just more or less to break neutral, to make sure no coaches were paid until all their purchase orders were zeroed out and all their money was collected. So it kind of became to where it wasn't impacting the school, and we were covering our overhead, and then the coaches were
Okay.
managing it from there.
So as the Bullets, are they treated as they're paying a rental fee?
Yes.
So we're actually gonna get more money from it,
Yeah,
that,
we
as
made
opposed to the
some-
190 that we
Yes.
got.
Yeah, but it also costs $600 for a high school kid to swim with the Bullets in the summer, and it was less than 200. So I don't think you're going to get as many high schools.
I'm sure they're
kids swimming
covering
with
their cost.
All right, any more on the summer camps?